Excellent. Welcome, everybody, to BloggerBridge. We're going to talk today about BloggerBridge for bloggers. I'm Chris Christensen from BloggerBridge, also from amateurtraveler.com, and This Week in Travel are the two most common blogs, or the two blogs that I know that are best known. And today, again, I say we're going to be looking at BloggerBridge from a blogger's point of view. If you're a company, you'll learn some things, but we're really going to target you more with the next webinar we do in February 6th. But again, if you're a company and you want to see a demo of how this works and you don't want to wait till February 6th, just contact me. As with BloggerBridge, always down here in the lower left-hand corner of BloggerBridge is Contact BloggerBridge. If I'm in live chat, that will say chat with, and if not, it will say contact, and that'll send me an email. So you'll either be sending me an email or giving me a live chat question, and we can often get problems fixed in a matter of minutes. At least if I'm not on a cruise ship someplace or whatever. Okay, excellent. So we've got two different windows here. One is me logged in as a company, and one is me logged in soon as a blogger. If you haven't got an account, the best way to get an account, if you go here to sign up and choose bloggers, you can create an account for BloggerBridge by filling out this information. I'm going to log in because I've already done that, obviously. And I'll show you, first of all, what a kind of fully filled out account is. This is my account for Amateur Traveler. And so this gives you some idea of what we're expecting when we see a fully filled out profile. And so it's got some information here that you filled out when you registered, things like when you started blogging, how old you are, and then it's got your bio here. And this is a chance for you to sell yourself. This is a chance for you to say, for a company that's looking for you, what should they know about you? That's beyond the numbers. You know, what do you do? What awards have you won? What are you known for? What are your strengths? And then you have over here your social media. You know, what different social media accounts you have, how many followers you have. You can have multiple different accounts on different services. For some of us who do Twitter, for instance, I have actually more than 4, but those are the only 4 that I've listed. And if you have any trouble adding those, probably the most problem that we have most is we do have numbers for Facebook pages, but Facebook doesn't tell us the numbers for Facebook profiles. And so some people have a Facebook page, they enter it as a profile, and they say, Chris, where are my numbers? There's a cheat here, and that is if you say, what's underbar missing? Instead of social here. So in my case, users, Chris2X, what's underbar missing? We will go off, oh, no, that's not it. What's dash missing? It's a new feature, and I haven't made it available yet. And honestly, I've got the wrong URL. I'll send you an email. I'll put that in the next newsletter. But basically, there's a way we have of checking for links to your social media references on your top page. That's coming soon, but it's not quite here yet. What's missing? I'll have to think about what that is. So, and then over here are my blogs. I can have multiple different blogs. And so in my case, I have only one blog. Adding a new blog is as simple as saying, add new blog, and then putting information about it. So for instance, in my case, I also have a tourism marketing consulting blog. Would be TMCH and TMC. TMC. Description of that. It's in English, and we started that in 2010. And then basically that can create a blog. I can add in a picture there if I wanted to, like I did for Amateur Traveler. And then once you have a blog, you can edit the tags for the blog, which tells people what it's about. And so, for instance, I'm going to go in here and I say into the site topics, this is a blog about business. So specifically, it's about marketing, tourism marketing. So go in here, go back up to topics. You could choose up to 20 different tags. I'm also going to say it's about travel. It's kind of about travel and marketing. Anything else in here? No, that's probably the right thing for this particular blog. So now this blog also has some tags here. That's going to be useful when we're searching for things later on. I can also add in the Google Analytics. So if I go to my Google Analytics and I log into my account, You're not going to be impressed with the Google Analytics for this blog. There's a reason why I hadn't edited it previously. Where is it? Tourism Marketing Consulting. There it is. I'm going to grab this URL at the top. I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to say authorize Google Analytics. And it says BloggerBridge is already connected to my Google Analytics account. If it wasn't, this would say something different and you'd have to click on it to authorize your Google Analytics. Let's see what that looks like, actually. I'm going to deauthorize and then go back here. And it's going to say connect. So I'm going to click there. It's going to say, would you like to have access? Yes. Okay. And then I'm going to put that URL that I copied from Google Analytics. I'm going to put that in there. Wait for BloggerBridge. Tick, tick, tick. And we now know about my Google Analytics, and they're now published not to other bloggers, but to companies. As I say, these are not particularly interesting Google Analytics, and I probably won't even, I'll probably take them off here. So I'm going to auto-authorize just for that blog, my Google Analytics, and they're gone. But the reason why you want to put that in is increasingly we're going to have additional opportunities that you have to have your analytics in there to qualify. And for some things, and we'll show you this in a little minutes when we show you what the other side looks for, they're going to be, you're not going to see some opportunities because you don't have your Google Analytics in, because they basically, a company can make things invisible to you unless you meet their qualifications. Ursula asks, are there numbers yet? Are there numbers for YouTube? And no, not yet, but they're coming. Can I add 2 languages for one blog? Yes, absolutely. If you blog in the same blog in 2 different languages, just add both languages. That's not a problem. I would say that there are advantages to having 2 different blogs with the 2 different languages, in some cases for search, for Google's point of view, but from BloggerBridge's point of view, we don't care. Then I'm going to go over here to my schedule. Hang on a second while I cough. That mute button worked. So one of the reasons we have a schedule here is what we're trying to avoid is that email you get from somebody where you just went to, I just booked tickets to Marrakesh, for instance. And we're trying to avoid that email you get after you get back and you post your pictures of Marrakesh and you hear from the hotel that says, oh, you were just in Marrakesh. We have a hotel in Marrakesh. You'll have to let us know next time you're in town. And the next time you're in town may not be ever. And so basically your schedule lets you tell people where you're going to be. Now, normally the way that I do that is I have TripIt authorized. Basically, I click the authorized TripIt here at the bottom. It says unauthorized because I am authorized. And just tied my TripIt account to my schedule. And so when I book a trip and I get my airfare, I email that confirmation from the airline to plans@tripit.com. And the next morning, early in the morning, Pacific time, BloggerBridge connects to TripIt, says, does Chris have any new plans? Finds out my trip, puts it here. And I've had it where, for instance, last summer I did a trip to Washington, D.C. Basically, all I did is I sent my information to TripIt, which is useful for me anyway because I like TripIt. It's free. I have a free account. And the next day, someone said, hey, I see you're coming to Washington, D.C. We do tours of the Air and Space Museum. Would you like to do a complimentary tour of the backstage of the Air and Space in exchange for a blog post? And I happen to say yes. Now, what you say when you get that offer is entirely up to you. We, at that point, are just trying to connect you. You can say I do it for free. You can say I charge for that. You can negotiate some other deal. We're just trying to connect you and have you have that conversation. If it's a paid interaction where they're paying you, we don't take any of that money. Basically, there's no charge at this time, at least, for BloggerBridge for bloggers. I don't have anything I can upsell you. I don't have any way that I can charge you more and have you show up at the top of the listings or anything like that. So we're not trying to get in between you and the company. We're trying to connect you and the company, and then what you do at that point is up to you. So that's the schedules. Again, increasingly useful. We've got people who are checking the schedules. Basically what happens, so if I look at my email here, I have a watch through BloggerBridge for people coming to San Francisco, and I got an email that Erica basically just registered for an account in San Francisco. But I would also get something if somebody was coming to San Francisco that lets me reach out to them. Our record for the time between somebody putting in a schedule and getting an offer from a company was at the last webinar we did, and it was less than an hour. Your mileage may vary. Jody, you were asking, going back here to the profile, you're a member of PTBA. I glossed over the fact that I'm a member of PTBA and that I'm badged there. It says your badge disappeared when you renewed. How do you get that back? You need to double check. Basically, the way that we make sure that badge is there is that the email on your BloggerBridge account has to be the same email that you registered with PTBA. And we use the emails. We get a feed from them every night of the emails, and we double check that. So send me an email afterwards send me an email to admin@bloggerbridge.com, and I can look into it. But that's the way that works. We're also in talks with another society that I won't mention yet because it may not go anywhere, about getting badging for other membership groups. So if you have groups that you would like to see a badging there, you just have to talk to us. We don't charge PTBA for this. We're not charging the other group that's coming to us, but we do need a feed from them of something like email addresses so we can keep track of things. Gretchen asks, what's PTBA? The Professional Travel Bloggers Association. We have, because of our roots, we're coming out of NMX and Blog World, but also out of the TBEX conference. So we have a disproportionate number of travel bloggers right now. So if you're a mommy blogger, a parenting blogger, a food blogger, a photographer, whatever, you're actually going to be in higher demand because there's not quite as many of you in the system right now. Just a heads up, I was setting my Tippett connection. Tippett told me the connection failed. When I went back to BloggerBridge, the connection worked. Okay. I don't know what that means, Zach. As long as it's working, I would see whether, Zach, I would say next time you go in and schedule a trip, just double check to see whether it shows up in BloggerBridge, or just unauthorize and reauthorize and see if that works. The other thing we have over here is examples, and examples has things that I have put in that are examples of my work. The categories are entirely up to me, and basically you're putting in a link with a title and a description, and then putting it in a category. You can make these categories whatever you want, and then they will sort alphabetically is the only other thing. But basically that gives you a place to put, I won this award, or here's a great blog post that I did, or here's my most popular blog posts, or here's some things where I do how-to for a particular area because you're trying to get consulting work or whatever. Also for my profile, as we're looking at again from the blogger's point of view, I can put up my products. You should have a start page, another tab up here if you're just getting started that tells you that tells you which things you haven't filled out. That will lead you to the same place here. But this basically says, lets me tell people what I do. Do I write guest articles? Do I accept guest articles? Do I participate in fam trips? Absolutely. Do I provide consulting, review books, all sorts of things there. So that is something that companies can search on, and that's what's useful with that. Just checking. Tripp was giving a bumfail message. Well, they're wonderful people over there. I'm sure they didn't mean it. And Joe asks, is there a best way to find a referral into PTBA? I do not know, Joe. That's a fine question. But if you go to their site and ask them, that is, PTBA does charge for membership, unlike BloggerBridge. And they do have some minimum standards, although they're not really very high. Okay, let's go back here. Did I fill out everything I need to fill out? I've got my profiles, I've got my blog, got my email address. Well, now let's look at this from the other point of view. Let's look at this from the company's point of view. I'm going to go to my same profile as a company, and you'll see two things that that didn't show up when I was looking at me for a blogger, and that's a notes tab and a reviews tab. Basically, notes lets that company keep information about me so that, for instance, if they have a change over in people, they still know that they worked with me, that we worked on such and such a project together, and how I did, or that I like Diet Coke. So if you're going to work with Chris, have a Diet Coke there, or whatever they want to put in there. That is company specific information. Reviews allows the company to review me and to see other reviews that other companies have written about me. You can make those so the reviews are only available to companies, to paid users of BloggerBridge. We are not seeing a lot of reviews yet. Companies did ask for this though, and they want to review obviously the people who do real good work for them, as well as the people who don't do really good work for them. And so we're encouraging people, if you are interacting people through BloggerBridge, please bring your professional game, because people do have the ability to tell other people how you did. And what we encourage them to say is, what's the nature of your engagement? What was the work you were going to do? And then how did you do? And they can put us, a 5-star on that to say how great Zach is to work with in particular. The notes page is genius. Thanks, Dale. Companies seem to like that. The other thing that companies get over here is they get lists, so they can keep track of different lists of bloggers, and that comes in handy when we talk about opportunities. Some of you applied recently. Some of you who are travel bloggers or other bloggers may have seen the blog trip that Air Berlin was doing to Dusseldorf. And the way they did that is they posted on their end an opportunity. And in an opportunity, a company can do one of three things. They can say, I want you to reply to the owner. That's the person in the company who is creating this particular opportunity. And so me. I should really change that to a reply to me. Reply to the company. That will copy everybody in the company's account when they get people. And in both of those cases, when you're looking at an opportunity that is set up that way, you'll see a message button basically on your side. So for instance, right now this says reply to owner. So if I go over here as the blogger and I go to my opportunities, and these are things that are available to all or some bloggers, and I go to the next page here, I'd see coffee with BloggerBridge, and it has, do I have this set to, I must have this set to apply. So if I change it to reply to owner, then this is message. But if the company goes over here and says that they want it to be an application, then all they do is they say apply. And then you as the blogger get what we call a one-click apply. And we call it one-click apply because we used to just call it apply and people were confused because they clicked on it and then they were waiting for an application that was going to ask them what their Google Analytics were and what their Twitter numbers were and all those things. Well, we know all that already, so we don't have to ask you that. So basically, if I clicked this, then I have applied. You have applied. You have now applied for this opportunity. That place up here is where we put all sort of feedback from the system about the action that you just did. Now, on the company side, just so you know what that looks like, is they get a list here of all of the different bloggers who have applied to that, and then they can sort them by recently added, first name, last name, by Moz domain authority, which would be useful for SEO, by Alexa rank, by monthly page views, by total followers, by clout score, whatever it is they want, and then they can basically deal with that list and respond to people that way. So if you see something that is done as an application, that's the way that works. Opportunities, just so you know, I mentioned that a company doesn't have to make that necessarily visible to everybody. So the way it works is the company over here for their opportunity can say, this is something where I'm doing a webinar for advanced bloggers. And so I can put in here a user filter and basically say, you have to have started blogging by 2010. Or you have to be, this is something I'm doing just for women because for a women's conference, or just for people who blog about entrepreneurship, or just for bloggers who accept guest posts. So I can filter it. If I filter it that way, that opportunity will only show up to bloggers who have that topic, that gender, that start year, that birth year, that amount of traffic, that amount of Google Analytics or whatever. And so they can do that. We're currently not encouraging them to do it unless they're getting too many responses. Air Berlin, it probably would have been useful because they had, last I checked, about 180 different people responded. How can I enter video or travel video as a tag? Go back here. It's video is, excuse me. not a tag in the same fashion. It's not a category tag. Let me go up and bring up my blogs here. So in the tags, you have topics, places, member. What was that one? Oh, forgotten about that. Oh, I don't think we have it visible right now. There's another tag that is for type of media, which I need to make visible for you, Ursula. I'll do that going forward, so that you can say what type of media you do. For instance, podcast video or something like that. And then the video, the YouTube stats are coming. I apologize for the delay, but I've had some problems with the YouTube API for that, and it's just dropped a little lower down on my list because of that. The other thing I didn't say actually is some of you, any of you who have been members and have logged in before. Before this Monday, saw that we added a new newsletter. If you want to unsubscribe to that newsletter, just down here in your profile updates is where you find that subscription to your newsletter. There is also at the bottom of any email we send an unsubscribe, and that unsubscribe is the same as this here. If I unsubscribe, it will say unsubscribing from all emails will disable your account. Basically, at this point, you can do that. Certainly, you can do that if you're dropping out of blogging or if you're just not interested in being reached by companies. But it will mean that you will completely disappear from the company's view of the system. You won't be able to be searched. You won't be able to be found. You won't be able to be messaged. So that is the nuclear button. If I do that, it is not irreversible. Basically, every time I log in after that, it's going to say you are disabled, and click here to re-enable. So now I'm re-enabled. So if you click that by accident, that's also how you re-enable. Questions while I pause here for a second to cough. Okay, let me show you quickly the way the search works. Search works for companies are doing the same sort of thing. One of the things that they can search on is they can say who's going to be around in a particular location for a meeting. This is, again, why it's useful to have your schedule in there. So if I know I've got a meetup that's going on in San Jose, I have to be able to spell my name of my city, San Jose, California, and it's going on tomorrow. For instance, I can search and I can find all bloggers who are within 50 kilometers of San Jose. Or I can search for people who are just business bloggers. That's probably going to be none. No, actually, wow. Okay, found a couple. Found people in Santa Clara. Found people in Santa Cruz, in Hayward as well. So, and they can also search for places that you've been. These are tags. I can search for minimum social media traffic, minimum traffic. Again, location. I don't have to do that with a date. This is anybody who is going to be in San Jose. I can search for blogs, specific names. So if I know that I'm looking for Amateur Traveler, I can come in here and I can say, tell me more about Amateur Traveler. Oh, who does not blog about businesses? So I have to go back here. These are all cumulative. They all apply one on top of the other. So that's the way that they are using that to find people for given opportunities. So they have searches, they have location searches. That's the thing that we mentioned where I said I have a search for San Francisco that will basically tell me when anybody enters a trip or a profile that says they're within 50 kilometers of San Francisco. They have opportunities. They have lists of bloggers that they can manipulate. That's kind of invisible to you. And then they also have projects. And projects, I'm probably not going to get to much this time, but basically they can create a project with you, and a project has a workflow. And a workflow might be like content workflow for PayPal. And so if I use this workflow, when I set up a project, it says that the content creator gets 7 days, and then the content reviewer gets 7 days, and then payment takes 3. Basically, how does this process go forward? And a company can create a workflow with you, and then that lets them and you'll get a workflow tab or a projects tab, basically keep track of who owes who what at this point. And when they review your work, you'll get an email that will say that work has been reviewed. We're now waiting on you to submit an invoice or whatever the next step is in the workflow. That was what I wanted to tell you. Are there other questions? If I want a second blog listed to show as the first blog listed, do you need to delete them and reinsert? Yes. Unfortunately, they are currently stored in the order that they were added. And Jody also asked, will you be removing Google PageRank info since Google stopped ranking pages? Well, what we've done so far, we will probably eventually completely remove it. What you may have noticed when I went in as the company and I went into search and I said I was looking for, I'll just look for me here again. We used to show PageRank here and we no longer do. So we basically replaced it with a Moz domain authority, which is a better indicator of SEO value. And what they were trying to get when they were using PageRank was how useful is this site if I had a link from them. And so this is a better measure of that anyway. Yeah, we will eventually completely remove it from the profiles because Google has said they're not stopped. Yeah, they're stopped updating ranks is what they're doing so far. They're still serving those, but that's a complete disadvantage to anybody who's a new blog. So yeah, it's useless. It's been useless for 2 years, but still a lot of people need to be educated is why we haven't taken it away completely yet. Other questions? Messages. Up here in messages basically is where you can get a list of the messages that you have received from other people. You will also get an email from them every time you get a message sent in the system. One thing I will say, most common mistake made in the system, if I get a message from BloggerBridge, there will be needs for me to respond, there'll be a great big click here to reply right below the BloggerBridge heading. If you don't do that, if you reply to the message, you will be replying to me and not to the person who sent you the message, which is why we have the click here to the reply. Everybody's done it. I've done it. Looking at a way of getting rid of that, but we haven't done that yet. So, remove what from BloggerBridge? What Google ranking? So Gina, quick SEO tutorial. When Google started, their first patent gave every page in the internet a score from 0 to 9 that was your Google page rank. They don't do that anymore, but a lot of companies haven't caught on that, and it will take a couple of years till everybody catches on. They really haven't used it for a couple of years already, and now they've announced they're no longer even updating that score. So on my profile, it did say what my Google PageRank is. It's just not particularly useful anymore. Actually, does it say it over here? I think it says it on the blog, yeah. It's this number. New bloggers, it will be 0 because they just don't do it anymore. Any other questions? If not, we'll